Cats. Cats are the most maligned, stereotyped, and trashed domestic animals in America. It's time someone stood up for these noble and charismatic animals. We need to be grateful for cats. I was a proud cat owner for almost 20 years, from my senior year in college until I was about 39 years old. My cats died within a year of one another. God rest their little cat souls. Cats have a regal ancestry. These things are just small cats, and the big cats in the jungle are they're like the kings of the jungle. So cats should be given about 300% more respect than they're given. Cats are soft. They have the nicest fur, softer than most dogs, especially fully grown dogs. Cats are superior cuddlers to dogs. And I know I'm going to get pushback on this, but cats, they sit still. They don't move around so much. And you'll never get that annoying, like, big dog tail slapping against your leg or your arm thing. You know, you don't get that with the cats. Cats they're the flexible lifestyle choice. They're more self-sufficient. They're more motivated. Cats work harder. Cats take care of their bathroom business. You don't have to take them out every morning. You don't get woken up early to let them out. You can travel. You don't have to take walks outside with the cats. You don't have the obligatory communication with other dog owners that you didn't want to have, that dogs force you into. And you don't have to reach down and actually pick up the animal's doo-doo off the ground. Even if you are wearing a plastic, bag, it's just too much. It's too much. Cats make you earn their love, so that when you do, it's much more rewarding. While dogs give you that unconditional love each and every day, and every day for cats is the best ever. You can have moods, they can have moods just like people do. My time's up.
Your time is up.
Okay.
Hey, Donny, thank you for those illustrious words on cats. Now, I told Donny that there was no need to prepare. No need to prepare. And instead, he's got this typewritten 8.5 by 11 thing of notes. Before we will go on any farther, I want you to know that this discussion is in good hands. Tim, would you like to come up here? Tim is our moderator today. He will enforce all times, all offhand discussions, and all those things. You can go away now, Tim.
Can you buzz him when he hits his limit? Somebody needs to buzz him.
No wagering allowed either. But I'm giving 2-1 on dogs, I'll tell you that. Dogs are man's best friend. He gives us all this fluffy stuff, but dogs truly have been man's best friend. They go back a millennia. They go back to the days of Rome, when they were a descendant of wolves. Now, how much more regal can things be that you were a descendant of a wolf? The wolf and the dog really have a lot in common, but they are truly man's best friend. It's unfortunate in today's world that we've bred them down to these different kinds of dogs. We got lap dogs, we got smell dogs, we got all those things. But the one thing that really typifies a dog is its therapy value. Now, when you're feeling sad, when you're feeling happy, when you're feeling needy, you call the dog over. The cat never going to come over for that, but the dog will. Now, I've got this one dog now. I'm into dog number 9 right now, and this is Emma. Now, Emma is a wired hair miniature dachshund. She looks a little bit like a mutt. For all practical purposes, she is a mutt. But when I call her, she comes. The other one won't. Susie ignores me, completely ignores me, and she is as psychotic as things can be, much like a cat. But when I call Emma, she comes over and rolls over and lets me scratch her. Oh, God. It's good for her. It's good for me. You want to talk about cats anymore?
Well, you talk about dog therapy value. I mean, that's what's wrong with this country right now, is that we want animals to solve our problems. Like, where does it end? Where does it end? Cats make you stronger. Cats make you have to stand up for yourself and figure it out yourself. Cats make you become the best version of yourself. They empower you by not coming over every time you call them. Cats are a metaphor for life. Things are hard in life. You have to deal with things, and nobody's going to come there to save you. Those therapy dogs, that's the problem, Just put your trust in the cat and let you become what you want to become, what you can become. It's also been scientifically proven that dogs have gas that's 73% more potent and disgusting than cat's gas. Okay, so I'll let Rick take over.
I'm saddened to hear you go down this trail of excrement and all those kinds of things. I put it to you this way. My worthy discussioner is talking about life's lessons. And life is tough. It really is. It's important that we have a good companion, i.e., a good dog. And what's better than one good dog? Two good dogs. Three, I don't know so much about. But he talked about cleaning up after dogs. And I submit to you that there is a lesson there. That in life, there are unpleasant things that happen. And sometimes we just need to suck it up and understand that this is part of life. It's picking up after the dogs.
Thank you, Rick, and thank you, Donny. So there are two more rounds of debate here. And again, have you seen the format? First speaker gets 2 minutes, second speaker gets 2 minutes, and then they have a rebuttal of 1 minute apiece. To perhaps save time, maybe we can save our applause to the end of each of these second rounds of debate right now. Again, I feel like I'm back in time in the 1970s watching 60 Minutes and Point Counterpoint. If anybody remembers that from the 1970s. No, don't go there, Dave. So the second debate topic, as Ann has already introduced us, is about cinema. Which movie is better, Top Gun or Private Ryan? And on this round of debate, Rick will lead off. Rick, it's yours.
Thank you, Tim, illustrious moderator, and a fine job you're doing. When it comes to movies, when it comes to the cinema, there are a lot of things that stick out. There are things that are purely entertaining. There are things that are shocking. There are things that are educational. And it's hard to pick out one in particular. I have a lot of favorites. My wife has a lot of favorites. When it comes to Christmas, we have all the Christmas stuff and so on and so forth. But when it comes to the cinema, a couple thoughts came to mind. And they came to me in a theater. Of all the places to see a movie, in a theater. Don't know if anybody remembers that. And the movie was Saving Private Ryan. It's a war movie depicting a period shortly after the landing on Normandy and in the early days in France. I had heard about the movie. I went into the theater. I'm sitting there and the movie is starting off. And next thing, it morphs into the landing on the Normandy beach. And the first impression I had was the sound of lead from guns. Not the gunfire, but the sound of lead in the air. And my first impression was, that must be what it's like. You can't describe anything else. That must be what those kinds of things are like. Because bullets in the air make a sound. And it's nothing that's very romantic. It just sounds very, very harsh. And it hits things. It hits metal objects. When it hits people, it doesn't make much noise. But when it's in the air, that was the very first impression I had of that. And this is real. This is real. Basically, Saving Private Ryan is a story about a fictionalized story about saving a remaining member of a family from Iowa, of which they're all preceded by 3 people. It revisits an event that happened in the U.S. Navy, the Sullivan brothers, who all went down on the ship USS Juno in the Second World War. Now my other discussioner.
So I will give you my thesis on why Top Gun is one of the best movies ever. Top Gun came out in 1986. I was 11 years old in 1986, and my mom brought me to this movie. It became clear to me that Tom Cruise was the coolest character and the coolest actor that I might ever see in my life. And I can say 30 years later that is true. 35 years later, that is still true. Tom Cruise is still the coolest. Top Gun is the most American movie ever. It's about the finest fighter pilots in the world battling it out in the air, and they've got cool nicknames like Maverick, Goose, and Slider, and Iceman. Top Gun brought a new kind of cinematography to the big screen. For the first time, we were actually able to see cameras placed on U.S. Navy jets in ways that had never been done before. We had never seen these things before. The film's producers worked extra hard to get approval from the Navy to get these cameras included on the jets. And there are a few moments in the movie that you can see they put cameras on the back of these planes. And you start with this plane that's just sitting there on the aircraft carrier, and it goes from 0 to a jillion miles an hour in like 4 seconds, and you just get this perspective that none of us had ever seen before. It was amazing. Still amazing if you watch the movie. No one had seen anything like this in cinema before. Top Gun brought together a group of young talents that were all at a stage in their career they were ready to take off. Jerry Bruckheimer, who's now a household name. This is one of his early films where he had been involved with it. Tony Scott, the late Tony Scott, this was his first major film that he had done. And this was the first big-time film directing gig for Tony Scott. And for Tom Cruise, he had done Risky Business, done a couple other things, but this is the one that shot him up to superstar status. And now back to Rick.
Thank you, Tom. Donny, thank you. You know, when it's all said and done, we're talking about fiction. Whether it's Top Gun, whether it's Saving Private Ryan, it's fiction. But in this case, Saving Private Ryan is fiction with a moral and a story. And I think it's important, and that's the thing that struck me about it. Now, on a more frivolous note, I'm not familiar with this term jillion miles, but I'm sure that'll be a new one. And I wasn't sure how to spell it, but that's all right. You know what I'm struck with on my memory of that movie is a short guy on a motorcycle, sport bike, driving down the road at high speed without a helmet and waving his hands. Now, I'm not sure what message there was there, but I was disturbed by that, and enough said.
Well, the motorcycle thing, this is another thing in America, you know. We need to put helmets on, everybody, you know. This guy he's got freedom. He can have freedom to have the helmet off and fall off the bike if he wants to. Although Tom Cruise would never fall off the motorcycle. You know that. He would never fall off. You know, and Saving Private Ryan, okay, you know, had a message and everything, but do we really need a movie as serious as Private Ryan right now? We're in the middle of a pandemic. Everything, the world's fallen, you know. We're all worried about our jobs and the economy. Let's watch something about just, you know, a true story of soldiers who get off of a boat and just get pummeled with bullets, you know. Oh, give me something heavy, please. Also, Saving Private Ryan was great, and Tom Hanks is great, but isn't he in just a few too many movies? I mean, do we really need to see him anymore? He's in everything. It's like, you know, enough Tom Hanks. And I'm gonna leave it there. We're gonna give it back to we're gonna go back to the, I think we're on the next topic. I think we're on the next topic.
Thank you, Rick and Donnie. That concludes round 2. Now, I debated in high school. I keep thinking what my debate coach would think of what we're seeing so far, but I'm going to leave those thoughts for another day. So this has been.
It can't be good.
It's good and different. I mean, it's one of those good and different things. So I'm trying to put some levity here between these debate rounds. So the third debate round, as Anna's already announced, will be sports. Which sport's better, golf or basketball? And I believe you go first. Donnie will go first and take his point of the topic. Donnie, it's yours.
So, Eric, you know what I'm going to say here. Basketball is the sport that I think is the best sport. I'm going to try to convince you guys of that today. Basketball is an acquired taste. It's not for everybody. There's a lot of people that probably aren't fans of basketball because it wasn't something that they played in their youth. If you came from a rural area, the odds are basketball was not your thing. I didn't fall in love with it until I was 14. I went to a city high school at De La Salle, and I've shared this story. And I got to see some city kids playing basketball, and they did such amazing things with the ball, and they could do amazing moves, and they had such skill that it really captivated my imagination. And it began a love of the game that still carries to this day. Professional basketball players are some of the best athletes on the planet. The speed with which some of these guards can move, these little guys, is amazing. Some of them are actually big too. Their jumping ability, their skill with the ball. Once you've played basketball on a court with regular people, then when you watch these professionals, it's just amazing the things that they can do. Michael Jordan was a basketball player that was like a global magnet to basketball. He brought people in who never even watched the sport because they heard about this guy and they wanted to see what he was all about. And he changed the game, and the NBA became a global phenomenon during the 90s when Michael Jordan was playing. He's a heroic character. He gave somebody to believe in, and he still does to this day. And he may be the biggest sports icon ever. And I'm gonna wrap it up with, these are just some of the reasons why basketball is the best sport.
A long time getting to that. Golf, 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 from the diagram, golf is a game of the ages. It's a game of the ages. It comes from Roman times. I believe the word was pankula, to hit a ball with a stick. A game of the age. It's a noble game. Ross Messick, one of our past Toastmasters, with the aid of drink, would attest to the majesty of the game of golf. It evolved from the 15th century. They didn't even have air for basketball in those days. And it allows us to have our heroes. Now, Donnie talked about Michael Jordan. Everybody knows who Michael Jordan is. Is there anybody who doesn't know who Tiger Woods is? Oh. These sports heroes have changed everything, but it's golf that is a game for the ages. I started playing when I was 13, 14, and I'm still playing a form of it now at an advanced age of whatever that is. And I hope to continue to do that. Now, that's long past your days of basketball. You might go out and shoot a few hoops or something like that, but your competitive days of basketball are over. You might hurt yourself. Might pull a hammy or maybe a finger or something like that. But golf is truly the game of the ages. And in my rebuttal, I will talk about the reflective quality of golf.
So golf came from the 15th century. That's true. So the game is old. It's an old game.
Majestic.
Majestic. Yeah. So I can't wrap my head around the majestic element to that. I guess I would, if I was into golf, I probably would know what that's all about. You know, and you're right, basketball, you can't play basketball very long. And that's because golf requires no athletic ability. Anybody with arms and legs can play golf. But you know, the other thing is golf is really an elitist sport, isn't it? You have to have money to play it. You have to buy golf clubs. You have to get into a country club oftentimes to play golf. Basketball is a sport of the people. All you need is tennis shoes and a ball and you can go and play. That's why poor kids all around the world play basketball and very few play this majestic golf game. If basketball were a country, it'd be the United States, and golf would be the colonizing mother country of England.
Thank you, Donny, for those remarks on athleticism. You know, there's much like Saving Private Ryan, there's a moral to all of this. And I certainly can't attribute it to basketball. In life, we need little doses of humility. Yes, humility. And I know of no game that is a better teacher of humility. When things are going well and you think you're really hot stuff, all of a sudden it goes off into the bushes. Now, what better example is that for our youth to learn about the value of winning and losing, but more importantly, to learn the value of humility and perspective. That's the greatest gift that golf has given me.